a Gem of a Secret podcast. My name's Donatella, my secret.
And my name's Coco Holiday Gem.
And you can just call me Donna.
God.
I've been wanting to say that because, like, I don't know, I really connected with what Mohart said on Drag Race All-Stars UK versus the Universe World, that long title, you know what I'm talking about, that title. They just want to be known as Mohart, a genderless performer. And I think that that's cool because I really enjoy doing makeup, but I don't necessarily always present feminine when I want to be out. And granted, I don't do much drag at all anymore, but I think if I did make my return, it would be much more androgynous, and who knows, maybe you'll be seeing some of that in the near future.
Yeah, well, and then even so for me, I've done a lot more bearded drag recently. I was getting ready for a fundraiser that was bearded drag and whatever, but I was finding power in the androgyny of that moment. Like I had a beard and then I was doing these very hyper feminine songs, which is kind of different sometimes. Like I'm doing songs that like talk about being a sexy woman, but I had this full beard, and it was just like, it was interesting playing with that a little bit, I think, and the sense of like not having to fit too much into the norm, because I already don't fit into the norm presenting femme or mask. Like I just never feel like I'm fitting in fully into those titles,
you know. Same. And
so like it just kind of, it was just like my life personified was what I was doing, which is kind of weird. It was that's what was happening.
I look back at a lot of my drag, and all of it was so hyper feminized, and I was always going for like an hourglassy shape, trying to be very curvy and fit this very specific image of what I believe drag to be. And my perception of that has morphed and evolved and changed a lot. And I think in order for me to be happy doing this, being an entertainer, considering myself a drag entertainer still, I would need to really expand what that is. And I am currently, actually, as we're talking about it, I'm expanding, you know, who I am as an entertainer. And I think that the like femme fatale Donna phase was great, you know, that was Donna telling my secrets, but now you can just call me Donna. It's just a good neutral way to express myself now, so.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm still debating about whether or not I want to change my drag name.
Yeah.
I'm more back in the gray area of if I want to do it or not. It has to be right. That's the other thing. It has to be something that's like fulfilling to me to want to actually do that, and then like close off that channel and that legacy for moving forward.
Yeah.
So that
makes sense.
I don't know.
I think the reason why I like what I like, just like the shortened name, is because my name outside of drag is Donovan, and it has like the way it's pronounced is Donovan, you know? So like it can kind of be both. So I like that. You can just call me Donna, everybody.
Oh, I thought it was called Just Donna.
Just Donna. Just Donna.
First name is Just.
Yeah. Just Jan.
Just Jan.
Yeah.
People are like, God, this is so stupid. Why are they talking about their names so much? Because it's our identity, listeners.
It's our identity, and we've been talking about this for a long time.
I know. One day we'll figure it out.
We're going through changes.
I am changed. Anyway, so what are you wearing this evening?
Well, speaking of changes,
Oh, no, I'm not even ready.
I am a caterpillar that after I take the first layer off, I'm then a cocoon, and then from the cocoon, I'm just a gray dull moth. You thought I was gonna say butterfly, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. I'm serving underwhelming right now. I'm serving, you know, you think like you get like a bright, colorful reveal. Instead, you're just gonna get drab. I'm serving disappointment.
I'm serving disappointment.
Well, what about you?
Well, so this is kind of creative, I thought. Yeah. So I'm wearing a Snuggie, but instead of it being open in the back, I decided to actually sew it to where it goes up to my neckline. And so it kind of goes all the way around with the armholes.
Yeah.
And then a flower in my head to make it drag.
Oh, yeah, it's giving Teletubby.
mean, it kind of looks like a nightgown now, but I don't. I think it's really chic because I made it.
Yeah, loves it.
So we had been kind of like reminiscing about our lives and like Grand Junction, of course, and like we were thinking about like where we came from and like queer stories and how we grew up and our upbringing and whatever. And Donna's kind of a hippie.
Yeah.
She always was. Like, one of my favorite things to say to her, which I don't know if I've ever said it in the podcast, was I used to always say to her when I'd be like, "What are you doing, Donna?" And she's like, "Well, I'm watching a documentary on Kurt Cobain." And then I'd be like, fucking hippie. Fucking hipster. God.
I just have a very earthy range of interests.
What's earthy range?
I don't know.
You're like... She like needed a word to go before range.
Yeah, I don't know.
Earthy range.
I don't know what it means, but
She has lots of varying tastes. Lots of it to do with pop culture, but the funny thing is like her pop culture is even like a niche market about the things she likes.
Yeah.
And so like some of this other stuff that she's interested in, like it's just so fascinating to me.
I have really just like sections of pop culture knowledge, which I'm fairly good at trivia for that reason, because if you commit yourself to like sections of pop culture and you also watch as much reality television as I do, then it just kind of becomes part of you.
Yeah, and actually we are starting a trivia that's going to be weekly, happening at Lycum Brewing here every Thursday starting in March.
Ooh,
yes, that technically could have been our commercial, but I feel like I wanted to just say that while I had it on the top of my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, speaking of hippies.
Oh, Donna, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I will let you know after this brief break because we have a guest.
Guests!
It's a podcast with Coco and Donna, tell a podcast. Tune into What They Tell You podcast with Coco and Donna, tell a podcast.
Well, Coco, I'm feeling very groovy because we have Adam's mom with us tonight, Marcy Nichols.
Hey, Marcy, say hi to the folks.
Well, hello, everybody.
We're so happy to have you here with us, Marcy.
Yeah, we are.
Our moms are visiting, me and Adam's moms are visiting us for a little bit over a week, which is super exciting. And so we figured that we would obviously include at least one of them on this podcast to talk to them about our lives and their lives and what's going on. So that's really exciting.
So what's going on?
What is going on, Marcy? Where are you from? Where do you live right now?
Oh, my goodness. I am, first off, very excited to be here. I can't tell you how proud and how happy I am that both of you are doing so well in everything that you have been involved with, and it just really makes a mom proud. Just makes a mom proud. Right now I'm living in a little place called Sakhayo. Most people know it by the name of Ohio. But if you've ever lived there, you can understand why I call it Sakhayo.
I've never been to Ohio.
I've never been to Ohio either.
Not missing much.
There's a musical that has a song called "A Summer in Ohio." In the last 5 years has a song.
Oh.
And it's talking about how miserable a summer in Ohio is. So I can imagine what Ohio's like.
That's so great.
To put it into perspective, what I considered a normal summer, which was approximately 3 months or about 12 weeks of about 80-degree or warmer weather, was extraordinarily rare for the locals there. I'd only been living there since 2018, and I had no idea what a summer involved there.
Yeah.
But my son and I both ride Harleys, and we got the little ones out on the back, and we were able to videotape going down the road on a nice summer day, 4th of July, as a matter of fact. We took the boys out on the back of the bikes. The little guys, my grandsons.
I've never been on a Harley. I feel like I have to say that because Marcy always talks about riding motorcycles, and I've never actually been on a Harley.
I have so my grandma's name is Marcy, and she loves Harleys.
No way.
Step grandmother, yes.
Wow.
It's actually just Marcy that's here. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. So I absolutely love that.
Oh, that's
gosh.
so cool.
Yeah.
So have you ever been to the Pacific Northwest before?
I have been stationed in Fort Lewis for 6 years, 3 years on, and then ran to Germany for 3 years and came back here for 3 years and ran back to Germany for 3 years with the Army.
Dang.
Wow.
So what was Germany like?
Yeah.
It was great because I went there in the 1980s when there was Reaganomics, and so the Deutschmark to dollar rate was 3 to 1.
Oh.
And you could flash a dollar bill anywhere and they would take it out on the economy. You didn't have to exchange money at the bank. Of course, you didn't get the exact ratio. However, it was quite convenient.
Nice.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I was there when the wall came down.
Really?
And I had no idea what the big deal was. I should have grabbed a hunk of it.
Yeah.
But then I thought, who in the world's going to believe this hunk of concrete came from the Berlin Wall, So I just have the memories.
Yeah. That's so cool.
That was a thing when I was a kid, actually, when there were lots of people who would have like this brick or whatever. They're like, oh, that's a piece of the Berlin Wall. And sometimes it would have like, graffiti on it every once in a while. But every once in a while there would just be like a piece of rock. And I was always so confused of how they knew. Like that was actually authentic. Yeah.
I'm sure you could do some kind of analysis, but I wasn't going to play that game.
Were you there when the Hoff performed? David Hasselhoff?
Berlin with David Hasselhoff. No, I don't. I may have been. I don't know what year that was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know if I've ever asked, but how long was your military career?
I went in when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
And that was 1979. And I had 16 years on active duty. And then I had another 6 years in the active reserves. And I figured I was on the downhill. And I was going to just do 6 years in the National Guard and be done with it. But while I was in the National Guard, they called me back up on active duty.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well.
Wow, dude, that's a long career. What's
so
that
I
like?
went in 79 and got out in 2011.
Dang.
Wow.
So all of the 1980s, all of the 1990s, and all of the 2000s, I went through 4 uniform changes.
Wow. That is awesome. That's really cool.
It was. I didn't think about it at the time, how incredible and pioneering things were for me in the beginning. I just was trying to do everything I could to keep up with the guys. And I, because I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to be
I bet.
thought of as one of those kind of girls, I grew up with my brother and his friends. I grew up as a competitive AAU swimmer. And I used to be able to run the 2 miles in 14 minutes, and I wasn't going to let anybody slow me down. I was probably the very first female ever assigned to the actual 82nd Airborne Division headquarters and headquarters company. Before then, all the rest of the females that got assigned to the 82nd got shipped over to 18th Airborne Corps. And I was like, no. Wow. They didn't know what to do with me. They were like, "Oh no, we got a female. Wait. They had to find some place to house me. Of course, I had to have my own latrine.
Oh wow!
So guess what? I got put up in officers' quarters. Oh yeah, I had a room of my own and a bathroom of my own. And I got to be the colonel's driver because he wanted to keep a close eye on me.
That's kind of cool. That's an interesting story. I never even thought about that,
cool.
Being in the Army at,
One of the first jobs I had, I was trained as a tactical wire operations specialist. But because I chose my location instead of my job, they had to retrain me. So I got to work with one of the most fabulous individuals that I've ever met. His name was Yoshio Morishita, and he was a Japanese-American immigrant. His family immigrated over here during the war. His parents had been put in the internment camps and whatnot, and he still strived to be a good soldier. And he was the colonel's right-hand man when it came for any and all legal issues. Wow. He did all the court-martials. He did all the Article 15s. He did all the officer and senior enlisted evaluation reports.
Wow.
And I got to work with him.
That's crazy. So back in that time, did you know anyone in the Army who was like LGBT?
When I went in 79, in late 70s and early 80s, it was all about don't ask, don't tell. And ironically, my very first encounter with anyone that was LBGT anything was one of the females that lived across the hall from me in the female end of the barracks at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And she asked me, could I give her a ride to work? Now, mind you, this was 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what kind of work are you doing at 9 o'clock at night? You're a soldier during the day. Wait a minute, what are you... Well, I figured she's working the night shift. She's making some bills. I didn't think nothing of it. She says, no, seriously, you can give me a ride. I'll get you in the door. I'll even pay your way. I'll pay your gas. I'm driving a Dodge Colt. It rides all month on $20. I'm like, sure, give me gas money. I don't care. And so I'm like, get me in the door? Get me what? So I had no clue. We get to the club, and they put a little smiley face on my hand. And, you know, when you first go into a club and you kind of keep your eyes to yourself down at the ground, you're not really sure, and you're by yourself. And so you go up and get a drink, and then you find your way to your table. And then once you sit at the table, you kind of, start looking around. Okay, wait, what? And I'm watching 2 females kissing in the doorway by the pool room. Okay, that happens. And then I'm checking out the guys at the bar. Oh, man, the guys at the bar. Woo! And the next thing you know, I see one of the guys feeling up the other guy's ass. And I'm like, what? And I'm just sitting at the table all by myself, and finally my friend comes over, and she's changed out of her civilian clothes, and now she is in a zoot suit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Okay. And she's like, hi, how you doing? Everything going okay? I'm like, yeah, fine. You need another drink? No, I'm good. She said, the show will be starting any minute. Just keep an eye on the stage over there. Sure. Okay. And I'm still looking around the room to see if I can see any guy-girl couples. Nope, not happening. Wow. Next thing I know, the show starts. And this fabulous female comes up, and she's got the Dolly Parton hair, 10 feet high, teased out forever, all the way down to her ass. She's got the sequins dress on, the whole evening gown. She starts making the announcement, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hear this deep voice, and I'm like, what? My name is Peanut. I'll be your MC for tonight. I died. I'm like, what? Peanut. Really? And the show began. And it was a drag show that I've never seen before, never heard anything the first of it. I saw females impersonating, what I thought were females impersonating other females, and then my one single female friend was the only one impersonating the men.
Oh, wow.
And so she was up there in her zoot suit, and she did her fabulous little, and my drawers are hanging on the table and dropped on the floor a couple of times. I picked it back up, Wow. And the show was fabulous. And that was my first introduction to anything other than heterosexual whatever.
What a great introduction.
Wow. I mean,
Honestly.
wow.
I went to
I'm
Germany and learned
super
what the red
impressed.
light district was all about.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Leveled up.
Yeah, that is an awesome. I wonder what that drag artist's name is.
The drag names were still weird back then. So
I know.
Peanut said that she took almost 9 hours to do her own hair. That was all her own hair.
Oh, wow.
I said, honey, I'm born with it and I can't even make it look that good.
Oh my god. She was using her real hair.
Oh man, and the nails, everything, everything. I was so impressed. So
Wow.
impressed.
I would be too.
I was just on the floor. On the floor. And then that was my introduction to all of that could be and all that wonder. You know,
Wow.
and the couple that sat with me is a brother and sister, and they have been gay since day one. But every time they go home to mom and dad, they switch each other's clothes. They wear each other's clothes, and the other the female has never known what a man feels like, and the male has never known what a female feels like. But when they go home, they have to act totally straight in front of mom and dad. And that was the one thing that they said, and they're here. They are 25 years old at the time, and they said that was the hardest thing for them was to act like mom and dad expected them to act, and to wear each other's clothes.
Yeah,
right.
You know, but yeah, I was like, whoa, that really blew me away.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that was like my second duty station, there at Fort Campbell. And then, from Fort Campbell, we went to Panama. Woo-hoo! The things that those ladies do down there with those Coke bottles. Man!
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
that's
my
great.
goodness. The guys just love it. I was just...
Oh, my gosh. I love it.
I had to kind of cover my eyes a couple of times. It's just like, whoa, that's a little much for me. Ah, come on, Sarge, they say.
So,
so much fun.
how would you say, seeing shows back then, how do you think drag has evolved throughout the years?
I would like to say that I think it's kind of gone a little over the top.
Yeah.
In the sense that what I saw back then, like Peanut, for instance, it was all him, her, whatever. There was very little extra, very little extra padding, extra makeup going on.
Okay.
There was very much, but I mean the sensuality, the sexuality was still there, and it was very present and very profound.
Right.
You know, and I was just like, oh, I want to know more.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
look how elegant, look how graceful, look how beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just had to say, I need to know more.
Yeah.
And I ended up in Germany, and I partied with some of the people that it didn't matter if you were white, purple, gray. Man, if you were 12 or 20 or 200, man, there was something for you.
Yeah.
At the red light, man, we partied all night long there. It was so much fun, so much fun.
I bet.
And yeah, in Germany in the 80s, whew, the hashish that was going around, that was something.
Oh, damn.
Chunky bars, you know, remember chocolate chunky bars?
Yeah.
That's how I would get my hash.
Really?
Literally, they looked like chunky candy bars.
Dang.
Yes,
That's
it was.
cool.
Oh, gosh. That's so cool.
Oh man, and the thing was, I quit smoking cigarettes, but a lot of the Germans would roll a cigarette and they would sprinkle the tobacco with hash, and to them that was a treat.
Right.
I would get more high off the tobacco than I did off the hash because I didn't smoke cigarettes at the time. But it was still so much fun, so much fun.
That's so cool.
Germany was the best during the 80s. Everybody was pretty calm. We didn't have anything hairy or violent or nothing going on, you know, so it was pretty much a big party.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was pretty much a big party.
So I want to ask, what was it like when Adam came out of the closet?
To me, there was never a time when he actually came out of the closet, because when he was younger, he really didn't date much. I let him have long hair, and I braided his hair every morning before he went to school. and we lived way out in the the Netherlands of Colorado and Utah border. And what I didn't know then and found out later was he was getting ridiculed and beaten on and bullied constantly for his long hair. And needless to say, he was one of the biggest kids in the place, so it was hard for anybody to really hurt him. But that still wasn't the point. They would come up and punch him in the back of the head and run away. Things like that. Just nasty, evil, nasty. So he, at that time in middle school, had a girlfriend type person, and she was a sweet young girl, but her parents, for some reason, didn't want her dating. She was only, I think, maybe 15, and I think actually younger than that, maybe 14. Anyways, her and Adam had a few little dates, if you will, and then we moved from way out there in the country, we moved closer in town. And once he got in town, he didn't worry so much about what others thought of him, because being around more populous area, you became a little more anonymous. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like when you're out in the middle in your sticks, everybody knows everybody. You come move into town, you know, it's kind of hard to know everybody. Okay? So he started dating here and there and had like a boyfriend here and there. And I don't remember that there was ever a real event where he actually came out, but he was just like, well, Mom, this is who I'm dating right now. This is who I'm seeing right now. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's his name? How long have you known him? You know, it was just like the same questions I asked when he had a girlfriend. And ironically, the girl looked very much like the guys that he liked to date. She was really slender and had a little butch bob kind of haircut, like a little Twix, a little tween, or whatever you want to call them.
Twink.
You know, a twink, a Twix.
Close enough.
Still very edible.
Yes.
But yeah, we had a good giggle over that, and he, you know, he dated on and off, but it was hard for him to date at the time because he was going through some legal bullshit, and the probation people were watching him and questioning every little thing he did, and who are you with, and why are you with them, and no. So he was like, well, screw you, I'm just not going to date anybody. You know, until this is all behind me. And so there was never really a coming out in. When Adam was a toddler, he decided that he was going to put on the white go-go boots that went all the way up to his hips and one of my silky nightgowns. So I kind of figured way back then that there was something a little different about my little guy. Well, I'll tell you, when I was pregnant with all three of my boys, I definitely knew my first one was a boy. I definitely knew my second one was going to be a boy. You know, moms just kind of have those feelings, right? Adam was the only one I was just a little iffy on.
Yay. That's so great. Yeah. But you've been a really supportive mom when it came to Adam and his journey with through life and stuff. I remember you always being in the picture even when I would a couple of weeks after I met him. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with my mom, or my mom's coming over, or me and my mom are going to lunch or something like that. And he always spoke really incredibly highly of you, even when we were just when I first just met him.
Well, that's good to know. He didn't tell you all the horror stories right away.
No, that comes later. Oh, goodness.
He's a good kid. It was hard not to be supportive of him. You know, I mean, he's got a heart of gold. He tries really hard doing, you know, no matter what it was that he was doing, whether it was his schoolwork or, you know, just anything he tried to get involved in, you know, scouting at one time, things like that, you know. He would put his whole heart into it. So it was hard not to support him.
What do you have to say to parents who are struggling to support kids that are queer? What advice do you have for them?
They're your babies. That's all I can say. That is your child. That's your baby. that's a part of you. And there's got to be a little part of you that says that you recognize where they're coming from and what they're going through. And you might even have gone through some of it yourself. And whether you choose to face it or not is another story. But supporting them should be the number one thing that you need to do, no matter what your child does. Whether your child is an Olympic sports medalist, or your child is illiterate or maybe autistic, who cares? No matter where your child falls on that scale, he's still your baby. Yeah. I can't see it any other way.
I love how Marcy makes it incredibly simplistic in the way that you wish other people would.
Yeah. Well, and I don't, and I have a hard time finding understanding and sympathy for the parents that don't support their children.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I really do have a hard time for that.
Yeah.
It maybe that's just my faults, my setbacks, but I was a middle child. I was ridiculed. I was never good enough. So perhaps that was one reason why it was easy for me to be right there for him. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah,
I know what it felt like to be ridiculed.
Yeah.
I know what it felt like to be that outcast. I know what it felt like to be not good enough, too big, too small, too fat, too skinny, too old, too young, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told Adam when he was young, and those kids I found out were picking on him, I said it didn't matter what clothes you wear, what books you read, what friends you have. Assholes are going to be assholes.
Yeah. And they'll be everywhere.
And their bullies are going to be bullies. And you can be part of the solution or part of the problem. You can play along with the stupid game, or you can ignore them and just don't even give them any of your energy. And once they realize they don't even get a reaction out of you anymore, then it's no fun.
Yeah.
And some of them, it takes a long time to realize that. Some of them, you have to beat their ass and knock their head around a little. Hey, you know. But I choose nonviolence. I know everybody's like 30 years in the Army and you choose nonviolence. I looked at myself more as a peacekeeper and a rainbow warrior, more so than a soldier that was out to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually, there's a lot of psychology in that approach too. They call it the gray rock theories, when antagonists kind of go after you, specifically people who have sociopathy or psychopathy. You just kind of give them nothing because they feed off your response. They always will feed off your response if you give them a response.
Yes.
So it's the best way to be.
Yes. It's like bouncing a bouncy ball that has no bounce left to it. You'll try it a couple of times, but it doesn't come back to you. Yeah. It's no fun.
Your reaction's not going to be satisfying, so you don't come back to it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So one of the last topics I want to get onto is, what did you think, Marcy? Because we're all from Grand Junction. What did you think when you came to our drag show for the first time?
Kind of like that first drag show I saw. I was like, wow. The thing that really struck me more than anything was, honestly, how exhausting I get watching you guys do your show. Because it is the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion that you put into it is just so incredible. The time and everything, the dedication that is given to making the show go off, putting the costumes together, choreography, the music choices, just, getting everybody in the door. It's incredible. But I'm the kind of person, I've been on the other side of that. So it's easy for me to see what you guys go through. That's why it was one thing for me, number one, to support you. But to be there for you. And I'm the one out in the audience, whistling and knocking everybody around.
You always are. And I love that.
We had a couple at the last show that had never been to a drag show before. And she was so excited to find out that Mom and I were associated with the crowd. And so she started asking questions like, how long have they been doing this? How long does it take them to get ready? Things like this. And of course I told her straight up, I don't have all the answers. I kind of can tell you a few things, but you should go talk to the ladies themselves. She goes, the ladies? What? Oh, yeah, that's right, they're ladies.
That's good.
That's
good.
And her husband was just like so against even coming out to the show. And this last show in particular was such a fun show, and they had such a good time that I made sure that they got all the pictures from the show. Plus, I took a picture of them with Miss Tina, and I made sure I sent it to them so that they could show it to their daughter who's in college. And they just had a fabulous time. And to me, that's more what it's all about, is reaching out to community members that don't understand, have never been exposed, and give them that wonderful, fun experience. Because that's the first thing she said. This was really fun.
Yeah. I think that's the most rewarding part of doing it, honestly, especially when we were doing it in Junction, because there were so many people that didn't have that exposure. Yeah.
And I could tell in the audience in Grand Junction in particular that there were quite a few that had never seen a drag show before.
Definitely.
And I noticed that there are quite a few drag babies in the audience out there. And I did, that's another thing that I'm learning is the proper language for these things, so that it's a whole community.
Yeah.
It's all enveloped with love and based with love, and just the sheer pettiness alone. That's just the fun of it.
Yeah. Well, and you're an important part of that too. Moms like you that support your kids. I mean, that's huge. Without moms like you, you wouldn't have as many people that are really confident to be themselves, and that's super important.
I don't see any difference I have 3 sons. My 2 oldest, just as horny as Adam. They choose the women instead.
Oh,
I tell you,
that's so funny.
Making much better choices there either. I'm telling you, my God, no.
Oh gosh, that's funny. That's beautiful. So that does kind of bring us to the end of our episode.
Yeah. You're a fabulous storyteller.
You're such a great storyteller, Marcy.
I could picture what Peanut's like right now.
Yeah, I could too. This has been a really wonderful journey, walking down your memories and whatever. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this episode since you're staying for a week, so we can get more knowledge out of your noggin. Aww. And do a couple bonus episodes.
I must admit, I was very nervous because I don't enjoy being center attention. I'm more one of those kind of people that likes to stay in the background and make things happen and let you guys take the show.
Marcy's always about, how can I help? How can I help?
Yeah.
How can I help you shine?
What can I do?
Anyway, though, honestly, anytime I had health problems back in Colorado, you were there to help out with that, and it's so nice to just have that presence, because otherwise it's really hard to just get by without that type of energy.
Well, I think that's, maybe because I didn't have that growing up, that's one thing that's very important to me, to make sure that others feel that.
Yeah.
You've been on that shit end of the stick. It doesn't smell so good.
No.
Marcy was always the person in Grand Junction who would be very honest whenever we would have really great dialogues and stuff like that. But also, there's this secret side to Marcy that people don't know about when it comes to when you need advice. It's incredibly compassionate. It's not honest. I mean, it is honest, but it's also compassionate. And when you're just needing those moments to be wanting somebody to just be sincere about what you need to do to get your life back on track. And I actually can't even remember the advice that Marcy gave me back in the day, but I remember it changed my life. And so, and I've told Marcy this 1,000 times, because we were sitting at Bin 707 and she was buying everything in the world for us to eat, and I was telling her about my struggles.
So good.
Oh, such good food.
It
was such good food, and she gave me some really amazing advice that I can't even remember, but it helped me in the time, and it changed my life. So
just remember, Just remember, you can either be the fire hydrant or you can be the dog.
And that's a great way to end it.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Marcy, for being on the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. That's it for this episode.
That's it.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye.
Much loves.